Hey there, it's Dave Wills, the Crying Wrestling Fan, and you're listening to Stories from Across the Street with your host, Jimmy Street, right here. I tell you, Stories from Across the Street is fantastic. It's awesome. It's too real to me, damn it.
The following announcement has been paid for by...
This is Steve Bowtie Bryant here. Back in the 90s, I was a pro wrestling photographer for the South, and I released what might have been one of the original sets of indie trading cards. I ran across some of these original sets. They were up in Randall Fanning's attic all this time. PG-13 rookie card, Ricky Morton, George Weingroff as the Sheep, Chris Champion, Reno Riggins, Billy Montana, Gary Valiant, the Scorpion, the Medic, Rick Reynolds, Jeff Daniels, Mephisto and Dante, Ben Jordan, Steve Neely, Marcus Woodrow, Clinton Charisma, Little Farmer John. If you'd like an opportunity to get these cards, contact me now. You can get them for only $49.99. Contact me at stevebowtiebryant at iCloud.com. Get your set now while supplies last.
Hey, this is Jimmy from the Live and in Color with Wolfie D and Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. Would you like to also make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere, and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And that's how you're hearing this right now. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it's made the job of producing multiple podcasts so much easier. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today.
Stories from across the street. Oh, baby, we're talking about some stories. From across the street, and talk about some stories from across the street.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and welcome to my very first episode of Stories from Across the Street. It's extraordinary people telling extraordinary stories. And yeah, today I've got an awesome one. For my very first episode of Stories from Across the Street, I have an excellent one. And still real to me, damn it, Dave Wills. We're going to talk about what caused his emotional response. We're going to talk about where it was. We're going to talk about the guys on the panel, what it was that Terry Funk said, and what happened afterwards to this truly viral video that has taken over not only wrestling, but real life. I mean, there's people that say still real to me in so many places and so many ways, and I think it's just going to be really cool, and I just can't wait to talk to him. Now, of course, as you've been listening, this is on the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling feed, and that's where it will stay. This is just a thing that I'll do randomly as stories become available, and I know there's tons of wrestlers out there, and I'm even taking it outside of wrestling. I want to test the waters on this. I really want to see where it can go and what it can do, and I'm excited about the idea of people coming on and telling their story, and whatever it is, you know, honestly, the Kroll, Jeremiah Plunkett, Kojima story could be the official first one, but because I didn't have this idea at the time, I'm going to make Dave Wills the first episode. So I thank y'all so much for always listening to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. Thank y'all always for supporting us, and I hope you support this venture with me as well. But right now, let's go ahead and get our guest on today, Mr. Still Real, Dave Wills. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And today we got a very special episode going with stories from across the street. And this is my very first one, guys. And when I have a very first episode, I've got to get a very special guest. And I could think of none other than the man himself, still real to me, damn it, Dave Wills. Dave, welcome to my show, man. Thank you for coming on.
You're very kind. You're most too kind. What can I say, Jimmy? I'm honored. I'm flattered. I'm touched in all the right ways. Thankful for the bad ones. No, not Vince McMahon way. I didn't say that. Yeah. What can I say? I'm in a bad place.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, man. You have fought traffic. You have fought illness. You have fought so much to come onto this show today, brother. So thank you, first of all, for doing that. I know you're not feeling the best, but hey, we're going to power through it. I feel like we're going to have a great episode here. And thank you for doing that.
I'm feeling pretty good. Probably about as good as the Gaza Strip right now, but I'm not feeling pretty all right. So
yeah. Well, thank you, Dave.
Let's talk some wrestling and let's talk some other stuff. Well, what you got, Jimmy?
Well, let's get it. So this whole show is all about people who have extraordinary stories to tell. And honestly, man, I think of you as what I would consider the number one wrestling fan of all time. I am a huge wrestling fan. My brother, who co-hosts the show with me, is a huge wrestling fan. All these people are huge wrestling fans, but I think you're the guy, in a sense, that represents us all. Honestly, I feel like you're the number one wrestling fan.
I'm the patron saint of all of us sick son of a gun. So what can I say? No, but seriously, it's weird. When I was a kid, I lived in Atlanta. I still do. We had, a lot of people talk about superstars of wrestling and think about the WCW, NWA at 605 and Georgia Championship Wrestling. That's a little bit before my time. I couldn't get 17 because it was real snowy up in Ackworth. Because we had rabbit ears and we didn't have cable forever. Well, I got an antenna. What do I need cable for? Thanks, Dad. But we did have we did have a WATL 36, and we also had later when we did get cable, WVEU 69. So 36, if my lack of social interaction and social growth was not already stymied and quite delayed, we had Superstars of Wrestling with Joe Pedicino on from 8 p.m. till 3 o'clock. So like a fool, I try to stay up till 3. And I couldn't take it because I wanted to watch Memphis and all. Yeah. But then later you have tape trading, and I got into that. But it was tremendous. We got UWF, we got WWF, we got World Class, Continental, Georgia, Deep South, Southern Championship Wrestling. I'm going back to 86, 88. I just love the stuff. I'd buy the wrestling magazines at the convenience stores like the Time Saver and Ingles supermarkets and all this stuff. And it was just tremendous, because I love wrestling. I thought it was just fantastic. I'd follow Memphis through the magazines. I had all kind of favorite wrestlers. Memphis was one of my favorite territories at the time. I didn't get to see it very much, but I enjoyed it. I thought Lance Russell was one of the best announcers ever and still do.
Amen.
He'd go up there and be like, okay, all right, what you going to do today, Dundee? All right, here we are. Jerry the King coming out. And Dave Brown was just the best sidekick ever.
Absolutely.
And we did get earlier in the night, about 8 or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we got to see UWF, and I got to see great announcers like Jim Ross and Michael P.S. Hayes. They had Cowboy Bill Watts on there and all kind of people doing color commentary. It was tremendous. And we got to see World Class with Bill Mercer and Mark Lorenz and some of the stuff from Georgia. We got to see some of that. We got to see Continental with Gordon Soley and whoever else was there. It was just tremendous stuff. I just loved wrestling when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was weird how I got thrown into notoriety by going viral, and I really didn't even plan or expect it. That was the weird thing of all things.
Yeah.
It was just tremendous. I just love being a wrestling fan, and I'm sure there are probably some that are bigger fans than me. They have traded more discs than me, purchased more discs than me, went to more shows than me. But I don't know how I wound up being the guy. I guess because I had the notoriety or something.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so yeah, let's talk about that real quick. Since I mean, this is the whole deal. Stories from across the street. So the whole story that I want to talk about is essentially that happening. I mean, not only I don't know many people that have gone viral. To be honest, I know very few. So let's do a little background on that. What was that event? What year was that? Where was it at?
I see one that went viral every morning when I look in the mirror, and then I run and hide because I'm scared of what I see. Believe me. That was Tony Hunt, one of Tony Hunter's, one of his shows. I think it was Carolina Championship Wrestling. It was a tribute to Starrcade, is what it was called. It was in Greenville, South Carolina.
Beautiful.
As a matter of fact, using the old Google machine, that was at the Memorial Auditorium in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And the date it lists is November 19th, 2005.
Yeah.
They had all kind of talent on the show. I'll give you, I didn't stay for the matches. I just went up there for the meet and greet.
Yeah.
Because my favorite wrestler was going to be there, and I had to meet him, and that was the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Conga variety. There have been many barbarians in wrestling. John Nord, of course, Sione, the Barbarian,
Right.
And, but he was never called Conga the Barbarian, but that's how they differentiated him with the actor books with Bill Actor. I told Billy Actor, I met Bill Actor that day. I told Bill Actor, I said, man, you got a lot of my money when I was a kid. He said, I didn't get it. Other people got it. I just wrote stories.
Yeah.
But it was so great because I got to go in there and see guys like, I got to go see guys like Jim Cornette. I got to go see guys like Loverboy Dennis, Beautiful Bobby, Tracy Smothers.
Yeah.
People up there. I got to meet Jerry Lawler for the first time, which was huge.
Yeah.
Huge thrill. Terry Funk. They had Dusty Rhodes. They had all kind of folks down there. It was tremendous. I got to meet them when I met the Barbarian. I looked at my friend Craig, my buddy Craig, with me from Athens. I drove up to Athens, and then we took off to Spartanburg. And I said, I got to meet these guys. I got to meet Barbarian. I got to meet the Lawler. I got to see these guys. So we took off that morning, got up there. It was just great, a chance to go up there and see folks. I'd already met Cornette and Condrey and Eaton before at well, now they call it the Gathering. It's done by Marty D'Amato now, but it was done by Greg Price previously.
Right, Greg Price, yeah.
I got to see. That's where I got to meet Corny and Barb and all. And I got to meet these guys, and I thought they were just the greatest things since sliced bread. And got to see Brad Armstrong and so many other folks, And it was just a heck of a time and all. The meet and greet was tremendous, and I got to meet Lawler. And I told Craig, I said, "Oh my goodness, this guy I've watched since I was a kid. I love this."
Yeah,
I was such a huge fan of Lawler and Dundee and Idol and Rich and all these guys from Memphis. And Memphis was a territory that I loved because you never knew what was going to happen.
right.
That's, the faces became heels and the heels became faces, The guys who've been your bad guys forever would be good guys. And the guys who'd be your good guys forever would be the bad guys. Midnight Rockers would turn heel. Manny Fernandez and Jimmy Jack Fuck a turd face. There's all stuff going on in Memphis. It was always exciting, as a matter of fact, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more of that in WWE, and I'm enjoying it a lot more because you never know what kind of action you could come back in commercial and you get brawling from the sake of brawling. How many times we saw that in a Tennessee show?
Amen.
Or Prentice or Jared or Lawler or Randy Hales or whoever. I mean, and they had some great matches on the card. I didn't stay for the card. I just went there for the meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a quick rundown of what the show was. I'm looking at the Google machine. Thunderfoot 2 defeats Tater Kirby. Rocky King defeats George South with Brick. Tony Atlas defeats Tracy Smothers. The Masked Superstar with YT White defeats the Barbarian with Jimmy Hart. David Flair defeats Brad Anderson with Mike Stone. Greg Valentine with Mr. Terrific defeats Jay Eagle. Bambi and Lisa Moretti. That's your Ivory from WWF.
Okay.
Team Blondage, Amber O'Neill, and Chrissy Vane. Believe it or not, a couple of years back, I ran into Chrissy Vane with a Big Con down to Buc-ee's in South Georgia.
Wow.
She remembers. She says, I was there. I said, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I 6-man tag. Brad Armstrong, Jeff Hardy, and Jerry Lawler with Queen Renee defeat the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and Jim Cornette in the ring. CCW title, #1 contendership match, special ref Mick Foley. Dustin Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, no contest with Terry Funk. Heavyweight title match, vacant, special ref Jimmy Valiant. Dusty Rose of Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard with Christy Ritchie and J.J. Dillon wound up in a no contest. I didn't stay for the show, but you see, you got some pretty good
star-studded. Yeah,
I have some pretty good stars on the show.
Yeah,
but, I think it's probably still available on High Spot, so I know it probably is. But the meet and greet was good. Then they had a question and answer. Okay.
Yeah.
It was emotional because I was already tearing up because I was so happy to meet guys like Lawler and Barbarian and folks like that.
Yeah.
And I looked at Craig. I said, Craig, I am that kid back in 7th grade riding my bicycle down to the gas station in Ackworth, Georgia, down to the Time Saver service station, buying wrestling books all over me. I'm shaking. This is real, brother.
Yeah.
This is real. And then I go up there and I hug Barbarian. The pictures, you can see I got tears in my eyes meeting Barb. And I think it's so cool that not only did I meet him then, but now he's a friend, which is
That's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's just tremendous.
Yeah.
But it was just so cool to be able to do that. And it was also very emotional because Mick Foley came, and I remember his interviews at ECW about, and he had been there, and he had given some great interviews in ECW. And I'd remembered, and I watched his career back from Memphis, World Class, NWA, WWF, all this stuff. And Harley Race came in the wheelchair and all. And that was also the week that Eddie Guerrero had passed.
Oh, man.
Eddie Guerrero had passed, and also I don't ever disclose who it is. If you can figure it out by looking back. But there was a wrestler who was with the WWF on the road who I believe got sent home because he was filled the hell up over in Europe at the time.
Yeah, okay.
And, I eventually told him who it was, and I told one of the workers there, and somebody said, give him a call, see if he was sent home, And they were checking him out just seeing if he was all right,
Yeah.
But I remembered they were asking, who would you have liked to wrestle that you did, or who would you like to have, who would you like to wrestle again if you could?
Mm-hmm.
And Midnight Express had talked about, the Midnight Rockers, and the question and answer panel was hosted by Bill Apter, but they had Terry Funk, Jim Cornette, Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton up there.
Yeah.
And they'd asked him that question, and they had asked, that, and then they asked Funk, and Terry Funk says, "I'd like to have one more match with Eddie Guerrero."
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh man," you saw people just, heartbroken because Guerrero. Talk about the ultimate baby face, man.
Amen.
And he talked about how he was instrumental in bringing him in back in '89 to WCW, NWA, whatever it was, for a tryout.
Mm-hmm.
And Funk said he had brought him in and they didn't sign him. But, he had been a longtime fan of Guerrero and, hated that. And he also went into talking about other things. He said, listen, he said, there's a lot of problems in wrestling. And wrestling, it's not about, you can talk about all kinds of ways to solve it, but wrestling needs to clean itself up.
Yeah.
Even if it means we as veterans need to withhold our love to people who we've mentored who aren't taking care of their business.
Right.
He said at the end of the day, if you trace back any city of any size, every single one of them has a crack house.
Yeah.
You go back here in Spartanburg, they got a crack house somewhere.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
If you trace back police reports for the last 5 years and look at all the deaths that have happened in that crack house, you will find out that wrestling has been way more than that crack house has in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we need to withhold our love, we need to do that. And I started getting emotional because I started thinking about Foley's interviews about how, and later he came out for a minute, and I thought about, he was giving interviews in ECW talking about, when I lost my ear, it hurt because I didn't know the German word for formaldehyde. All this stuff people say, I love pain. No, I don't. It hurts,
Yeah.
And how many of you guys who, love hardcore wrestling have called up the Dynamite Kid and thanked him for all the dives that he's done out on the floor? Sorry you don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of now, Dynamite. You're homeless.
Right.
And crippled and bound to a wheelchair. You love hardcore.
Yeah. Right.
But how many of you have done that? I started getting emotional. Thinking,
Amen.
man, Harley Races just came in here in a wheelchair because he barely can walk.
One of the toughest men ever in a wheelchair,
Forever, and his neck and back are shot, his knees are shot, wrestlers give up a falsity in bargain. When you're taking bumps off of a top turnbuckle or something, fans talk about all these high-risk moves and work rate and all this stuff. It's not a damn video game. You got people who have to pay prices. You got to pay you got to pay the piper. You got to pay the bargain.
Yeah.
It's a Faustian bargain. You're known because of what you did, but what you're known for is going to hurt you,
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking bumps, backdrops, let's say a simple backdrop, you don't think much of it. But if someone does a flip over somebody's head and they're 6 foot tall, you're taking a 6 foot fall on your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That ain't something you're going to recover from immediately. That's something you're going to have accumulated damage if it keeps on going.
Right.
End of the story. You're going to have, it's like a mini car crash you're experiencing into it.
Yeah.
That's what people talk about. Well, he didn't do nothing in that match. Well, sometimes you don't have to do a whole lot.
If you tell the story,
I have watched walk and talk matches and been just as entertained.
Amen.
As I have been entertained by a lot of other matches that have the boom, boom, boom. I love your chain wrestling, like with your Guerreros, your Malenkos, it's almost a bad word. Your Benoits. For what he did in the ring, he was tremendous. I didn't know the man. I'm not going to, it's terrible for what he was accused of. But, I mean, at the same time, what he did in the ring, I was a fan of, I enjoyed seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. I love watching Jonathan Gresham now. Yeah, sure. I know. I watched John train. I've watched him on some big shows. But I love that stuff. I could watch him and Speedball Mike Bailey go on and on and on. It's tremendous stuff, various maneuvers. And it's not a bunch of backdrops. It's a bunch of chain wrestling. It's tremendous stuff, There's a flavor to all kind of wrestling. You could have some walk and talk. You could have some brawling all over the place. You could have something where you take a lot of bumps. You can have something where you don't take a lot of bumps. It's tremendous stuff.
Right.
There's a variety to wrestling.
Yeah.
But at the time in my head, I'm thinking all this, thinking, man, I've loved watching Terry Funk and the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette.
The greatest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've loved watching these guys, and I just want to thank them.
Yeah.
I had it in my head, I didn't want to see another death in wrestling. I just wanted to thank you for the sacrifices you made to your bodies. I want to thank them. Well, when it came my turn to ask the question, I went there, and in my head, the idea was flawless. The delivery maybe left something to be desired, or maybe it didn't.
You can't look back like that, Dave. Personally, I think,
it's debatable. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Maybe it came out the way it was supposed to. Because I was thinking about it, and when I went to speak in front of the audience, I said, instead of thank you for what you did, thank you for what you did to your bodies. I don't see another one meaning another death in wrestling.
Right.
Over meaning another, something like that, prescription death, what have you.
Sure.
And then I guess I had a momentary case of Tourette's or something. I go, it's still running, damn it, blurred out. That's when Condry's like, take it easy, man. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. And I wanted to show appreciation. Well,
yeah.
I kind of couldn't believe it. Well, then apparently High Spots, whoever, I think they were the ones who were selling the DVD.
Yeah.
They found the clip moving and they understood it, and it was cut down and went out. Somehow it wound up on E-Bomb's World and some other viral sites.
That's it. Yep.
And it just went all over. And then the Kimmel people wanted it and paid for overnight shipping.
Yeah.
And it wound up on the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel had actually invited me out there. They're like, well, do you think you do that again? I said, probably not. Well, do you think this? They said, well, let me get back to you. Well, we still want you on. At the time, I had a shoot job. I'm a realist. Fame is fleeting. I didn't know it at the time, but viral fame never goes away, no matter It's just weird when you walk into a Cat and D's or a Chili's and go, hey, I know you. I'm like, I say, hey, I know who you are. So you've been watching Tosh.O.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's slow the roll on that because I definitely want to get to that. But first, so I'm going to play the clip. Everybody will hear it again. It's a 30-second clip.
Next question, Jeff. Where are you? Right there.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it. Thank you.
It easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Funk, for saying what needed to be said. I don't want to see another one of these.
I want to read the transcript of what you said. And brother, you have filled it in so incredibly. You said, I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it. Thank y'all guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much for saying, Mr. Funk, what needed to be said. I don't want to see another one of these. And then it cuts off. Now, okay, out of that, there are so many emotions going through you. I see some of the fellow audience members consoling you. I see so many things.
Craig said his hand went viral.
Yeah. So the still real to me, damn it. Now we're going to talk about how it goes after that, but did it just come out of you naturally? Did that just feel like what you needed to say?
Wrestling at that point was still real because I'm talking to legends and I'm talking to guys who I've watched forever. I've met two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. People can argue with me about the Barbarian. People can say the Barbarian. Yes, the Barbarian. Yes. I love King Konga in Memphis. I loved him as the Barbarian. Didn't really care when they put the antlers on him. I kind of like the painted Barbarian.
Sure,
but
me too.
I've been a huge fan of the Powers of Pain.
Amen.
My dream, one day, book it from Mr. Promoter, whoever the hell you are.
Yeah.
I want to manage the Barbarian. I don't care where it is. Tennessee, Carolina, Georgia, book it, okay?
Make it happen.
If it goes okay, we might be able to do this for the end of the year. Yes, I got a South Carolina manager's license or wrestler's license.
Awesome.
If you get one for Tennessee or Kentucky, let me know. I'll sign up tomorrow.
You don't need one for Tennessee, but you do for Kentucky. So
I would love to be able to do that, but the Barbarian is one of the greatest. Jerry Lawler, I watched him forever. I enjoyed his feuds with Dundee, with Idol and Rich. I thought so much stuff was tremendous. I love the stuff with the Bill and Buddy show. They VHS and DVD. I got to see so much of that. I thought Dundee was great as a heel, great as a face. Later, I get to meet Superstar Dundee and have conversations with him, and I think he's tremendous. It's just everybody I really have enjoyed. I've met Wolfie D. I think Wolfie D is tremendous. I got to meet Jerry Jarrett and Jeff. I thought they're tremendous guys. And I just enjoyed their work. It was brilliant how they got Jeff over in Memphis. When he first debuted, this is a pretty boy from they're facing guys like DJ Khan and Moondog Spot and Raging Bull Manny Fernandez. I'm like, he's not a wuss. He's tough. He's still fighting back. He's challenging Robert Fuller. He's pretty tough. It got over. It's just great stuff, and I just love the way how they were able to brilliantly, in my opinion, book Memphis. I think a lot of promotions could do a lot with that. I enjoyed NWA when they did. I enjoyed them when they come to Atlanta with the studio show.
Yeah,
and God, they had so much talent when they were coming to Atlanta. Billy Corrigan's group, whenever they had Aldous and
Trevor Murdoch and
Eli Drake, LA Knight. Yeah. They had so many of those guys and all. The question mark, Josephus, God, just being in the room with the question mark.
Rest in peace. Love Josephus.
If you hadn't watched that in NWA on their studio show, go back and watch it.
Oh, please.
I can't explain it, but it's like you had like 200, so many people in the audience, okay? It's like everybody in the room picked, and they said, that SOB is our favorite wrestler ever tonight. Love the guy, and I thought this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. It harkened me back to the days of Center Stage Theater, which you used to go to. It's WCW tape when they had Texas Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce, and every time Tex threw a punch, they go, oh, and sell it for Tex because he got a reaction and all.
Yeah.
And it was tremendous because the fans there were guys who you would know later. You had Craig Johnson, who lived in Atlanta at the time, John Horton. You had Scott Hudson, Steve Prazak, the Truth, who was on ECW, and Wild Side, Scott Hudson on WCW. And it was just tremendous, all of us, non-believing sheet reading fans were up there just enjoying ourselves. I jokingly say it was a level of pride whenever they had, I guess Doug Dillinger was taking a coffee break or something.
Probably.
They had a moving text sign right in front of the camera during the Texas Shanghai against Vinny Vegas and Diamond Dallas Page match. We're up there, just cheering for Tex and everything. It was tremendous. But I'm like, this is the greatest thing since I had seen question mark. It like harkened me back to the days of that. I hope Billy brings it back to Georgia, but I know he's got heat with GPTV because Georgia Public Broadcasting decided to, cut his attendance and his big pay-per-view from, $250, $750 down to like $75, and he had to refund Georgia. So hopefully one day he'll be back, and if not, I'll just have to head up to Nashville or somewhere, Kentucky. Hopefully,
come on up.
I'll come on up. Believe me, when y'all get In-N-Out Burger, I'll be up there often.
We'll see you there, brother.
Hey, brother, give me a double. Make it like a crystal. I'll be happy.
There you go.
Take that, Travis Kelce. I got my own hamburgers on. But, man, you big Swifty. But, it was just tremendous. But then to have all those emotions going through my mind, thinking about the Memphis program and meeting Bill Apter and talking about, wrestlers and all. And we just had, and, Craig and I thought about staying, but we had to get back. Yeah. But on the way back, I just thought about it and I said, man, I kind of got choked up there. And then I was actually on a tape trading board. And yeah, we may or may not have been trading DVDs that may or may not have had some copyright things, or may not have been. Allegedly. Possible. But I just wanted to get me. It wasn't like I was getting, it wasn't like, I was trying to get WWF product or WCW product, WWF product. I was trying to, get like years of Memphis. Mm-hmm. Which I did, which is great. Now it's all. Now I see I spent all this money on it for nothing because YouTube's got everything, or the Jerry Parsons Network's got everything.
Right? Big friends with those guys. Yeah, yeah. So the emotion, obviously, is something we've all felt.
These emotions going in there, and it just came out because on that day, if it ever had been before. And never would be again, which it still is. But if it ever would be, it was definitely still real to me. And like I tell people right now, I say you can call wrestling predetermined.
Sure.
You can say that, okay, it may be fixed if you want to go that far.
Right.
There may be a set winner and a loser. But damn it, it's never damn fake. It's never fake.
Yeah.
Ask your Wolfie D's. Ask your Superstar Dundees. Ask your Buddy Landells.
Yeah.
Ask your Jerry the King Lawlers. I mean, hell, ask Jeff Hardy. Ask if these guys who about cripple their damn bodies. I mean, wrestling's never fake. Someone said, well, I think it's fake. I said, it's as real as your imagination.
Yeah.
It's real as if you follow comic books. It's as real as Iron Man, as Wonder Woman, as Batman, as Superman, as Dr. Doom, It's real as J.R. Ewing, if you dated reference, but so what? I love Dallas and Falcon. I used to sit up there when I was like 9 years old drinking coffee watching that again. Stunted development. That's why I couldn't get a date in high school with a fistful of 50s and a bag of blow, and I had neither. But I couldn't get a date. Of course, you know, what? Go out to date? Hey, who cares? I want to see what Dick Slater's doing. You know, I want to see what number one Paul Jones is up to. You know, you know, but you know, it's as real as your biggest dreams and your greatest hopes. It's definitely real.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Join me, Gene Jackson, for the Jackson Interaction Podcast, where I'll be doing one-on-one interviews with people from the world of professional wrestling, as well as stand-up comedy. You can get them anywhere podcasts are available in both video and audio form, but you can find them all at genejacksonpod.com.
Stories from across the street.
So while I didn't go on Kimmel, later the Tosh.O folks did call.
Yeah, how was that, man? How was that?
It was good. They made arrangements to fly me out of Atlanta to Los Angeles. It was filmed. It was actually filmed. I'll go ahead and drop some dish. It's been long enough. The show's out of production now. I'll go ahead and drop some dish. It was filmed in Culver. They put me up in Culver City is where they put me up at a Renaissance.
Okay.
I was on the plane. It was real weird because I saw DiBiase on the plane. And I thought, I wonder if he's going out here transferring from Mississippi or where he came from, if he's going out for this. So no, that's being arrogant. He must be going out in a crusade or some kind of ministry or something. So at the time I was doing a little podcast of my own, the Dave and Dangerous Show. So I gave him my number later that night and told him I'd love to have him on and I thought, I wonder what he's doing. I didn't ask him what he was doing. It's none of my business. But I thought it was so cool to be able to meet Ted DiBiase. That was kind of
yeah. Kayfabe, brother, right?
You know, so I got to meet Teddy, and then I got off the plane, and then they had a guy pick me up in this little bitty micro car. I don't know if it was a Yugo or what. It was pretty small. So it was some production guy. He picked me up, and he said, "All right, I got to give you this." He handed me 250s. I said, "What's this right here?" He said, "Oh, that right there's per diem money." I said, "What I need per diem money? You are taking care of everything, right?" "Yeah." He said, "Don't ask me. I've been told to give you this." So he took me to the Renaissance. It was a Radisson's what it was. So I go over there. Well, I got $100 in my pocket. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? So hotel and rested for a while, and I thought, And I never went into this detail with any other show before. Stories from across the street brings you breaking news from over 15 years ago.
I love it.
It's tremendous stuff. Yeah. We're not bringing you news, we're bringing you history. Exactly.
Yes.
I go up there and I'm thinking, hell, when am I going to be in Los Angeles again? So I go over there and I talk to the front desk. And I talked to the front desk and I get them. They had a little shuttle bus. And I got them to shuttle me over to Fox Rent-A-Car. So I rented a car for the night for about, I think it was like $50-$60.
Okay.
So I drove all around Los Angeles, just checking everything out.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking around. I drove down to 5. I drove down all these other places. I should have got In-N-Out Burger. I didn't, but I just drove all around there, just checking it out. I drove out into the Walk of Fame and saw where they had, stars. Where they had all the stars with their fingerprints and the concrete and everything. Saw the little wax museum and all. And it was just tremendous to do that. And I think I got back about 3 in the morning. And I was going to try to bring the car back then, but they says, no, you have to wait. So I slept till like 6, and then I got up. They said at 6 somebody being here, and I got them to take me back to return the car. It may have been 8. I can't remember. Yeah, I said, hey, y'all couldn't take me back earlier, and I really wish y'all could have taken me back earlier. I could have got some more sleep, They said, well, if you like, we can give you breakfast. I'm like, oh, sure, that's great. So that's more money I got to spend. So I go there, and by the time I finish eating, here comes the guy in his car. He comes, picks me up, and takes me over to the studio. It was at the same place where they taped the Tennis Network, of all places. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was over there, and it was pretty cool. I walked into one of the bathrooms right there because I drank a lot of Diet Coke. I had to recycle some of it, and there's Coco Beware spray paint there. And they had, and later I ran into Sergeant Slaughter and DiBiase and all these other guys and all.
Now, do these guys know who you are by chance from the clip?
I don't even know or not. But I just found it tremendous that I'm compensated. I think they were put up at the Grand Hyatt or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy
Better agent.
told me that he had helped set some stuff up with that. It's what Jimmy Hart told me about it. I'm like, wow, one of the greatest managers in Memphis. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised there's a Memphis tale up there. You had Coco Ware, you had Slaughter, who was in Memphis, $1 million man, who was in there for a cup of coffee. So I got to do that, got to, play with Slaughter a little bit and talk to him and all. So, I mean, it was pretty cool. So we're up there at first, and Tosh is getting prepped for his intro for his stuff where he's playing Ultimate Warrior, where he is... they're playing old YouTube clips of Ultimate Warrior interviews, and he's doing a bunch of talking and everything. So that was kind of neat. And what was funny was they didn't know it, but I saw some papers on the side of the table. So I picked them up and started reading them. Well, I didn't know it, but it might as well have been the Tosh.O Observer newsletter as opposed to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, because I was smartening myself up, because it pretty much was questions that I was about to be asked and other stuff, and stuff like that and all. And what's funny was the producers who were big wrestling fans, I guess along with Tosh, I mean, they said, we've been looking forward to having you out here because we're big fans of these guys too. So a lot of the producers were wrestling fans now. Doing it like 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep too. Kind of interesting. So up there, he's up there saying stuff and talking, and then I'm up there being a little snarky and everything. And they finally said, "Okay, Dave. Okay, let us smarten you up on this." Okay. One of the producers looks at me and says, "All right, here we go. Okay, we get it. I won't go into total detail because I'm not going to drop a bunch of profane bombs on your show. But
sure.
Okay, we get it. You're funny AF. Okay, so you're funny as you know what.
Right.
But here's the game. Okay, the viral video stars who appear on Tosh.O in the web redemption, because I got a web redemption.
Yeah,
it was a chance where I had a chance to do something, and where I had a chance to, speak or whatever, and I got a chance to do a redo. Okay. These are extraordinary people in extraordinary situations.
Boom. Yeah.
Daniel Tosh is the one. That's how they do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The premise of Stories from Across the Street.
Amen. Exactly.
So that was the gimmick. Okay. So I had to tone it down a little bit. But, it was funny because, they were asking questions, certain things. It's like, you think Arn Anderson is a pussy? No, I do not. Stuff like that. Just tremendous little questions right there. One guy said, Dave, when you did the figure 4, I forget. Well, one of the wrestlers told me. They said, Dave, you honestly sold the figure 4 better than some of the workers out there on that. I say you're probably not wrong on that. You flipped it over and reversed it. You sold the reversal. They're like, you're selling,
Yeah.
So one of the funniest things was, fast forward a few years later, I'm at a show in Knoxville. In the back, I decided to go up there. They were going to have a show in Knoxville, then they were going to have a show in OVW. They were going to have a show I think they're going to have a show one place, like in Ringgold, Georgia. They're going to have a show in Knoxville. Then they were going to have a show up at OVW. So I thought, well, hell, I'll just go and do a loop just to visit,
Yeah.
So I go up there and got to see, Cornette, got to see all kinds of stuff. That was a great little show because Cornette's in there. And what was funny was they had a ring that was delivered that sucked. And if Jim Cornette is not happy, there is no question it's not happy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
And everybody within a decent radius know about it. Okay.
Exactly.
You see, so I knew this was a bad idea. Plus, this is at some like church school or something. I know there's no God. Oh no, it's at a church. And then there is a God and he hates me. So we're waiting for guys to come in there. And then my friend, who I love to death, Dr. Tom Pritchwell, says, what is he doing in my locker room?
That's awesome.
Right at me, I go, uh-oh. And then immediately Dr. Tom runs over there and starts stomping me, and I start, and then Cornette says, Dave, watch it. You're selling better than half these guys in the OVW locker room.
Oh, it's true, though, right?
It's tremendous fun. I got to do that. I got to meet Kenny Bolin for the first time. I remember whenever I saw Bolin, I love Kenny. I said, well, instead of letting you call me out of dinner, I'll go ahead. Where you want to go, I'll go ahead and buy.
That's awesome.
I love King Big.
The world's most famous best friend, right? Come on.
I tell you, right, it was tremendous. I had a totally great time just being able to hang out with some of the guys. The funny thing is, a lot of people didn't know it, but I'd managed before then too, and announced and stuff like that. I went to the Gulf Coast Wrestling Reunion they have in Mobile. That was a tremendous thing. One of the first years I went.
Oh, yeah.
One of the first years I went, and it's for workers and people who've been in the business. I found out that I qualified, which I was shocked because I'd, done some announcing and I'd done a little managing here and there, and I didn't feel I'd done anything, but I was told that I qualified, so I, of course, went. And I remember one of the first things I saw was I walked in the door and looked at a table, and I see a bunch of guys sitting around, and it's Boris Zukov,
love Boris, yeah,
Tiger Conway Jr., and Hans Stone Ron Garvin. I said, that's a pretty good start to any Hall of Fame you want to start.
Amen. Yeah.
And I got to meet guys like, Norman Frederick Charles and Port Chop Cash and Ben Jordan. I was popping for Ben Jordan.
Love Ben. One of my best friends. Love him.
Who was a great guy. And I got to get Roberto Soto and Robert and Ron Fuller and Jimmy Golden and all these guys. I love that Continental bunch. I love the Fullers and the Goldens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And, Adrian Street and company, and Robert Gibson and all. it was just tremendous to be accepted in that, even though I thought I hadn't done anything. And got to go to the shootout in Texas and Texas shootout and see guys who were so much fun. The grappler,
was Dirty White Boy there?
No, it was the grappler Lynn Denton.
Gotcha. I figured he might have Tony with him as well, but yeah.
No, it was him. I got to hang out with the Dirty Blondes a little bit. Eddie Mansfield, who some people talk about, 2020. I love the guy. He has always been a good guy to me.
I've heard he's a great guy. Yeah.
He is a fun guy. And man, I tell you right now, someone said, Dave, I didn't know you had a party. I said, tell I met Eddie, I didn't either. He taught me the joys of what weekend of what was it here? He taught me the joys of cram roll apple and cranberry juice. I think I aged a weekend. I think I aged a couple of months in a weekend.
You did it right, man.
Ed's one of the great, real cool and everything. I love him to death. Like I said, people can say what they want. I judge people by how they treat me.
Amen. Yeah.
If it's good to me, I think the world of it.
Yeah, but that's great.
I just had a blast and enjoyed it and all, and had fun. And then the funny thing was, I didn't know much about Tosh.O because people, when I came on the show, I did tell them that I did want a couple of things. I didn't want this to be something where we're poking fun at dead wrestlers. I didn't know about the Owen Hart crack that Tosh made later.
Right.
Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle told me that he enjoyed that till Tosh did that, and he wasn't too thrilled about that.
Yeah, nobody was,
and that was kind of low. But for what they did with me, they were great. And Coco did come on my little podcast and talk, and I've seen Slaughter many times since, and Sarge is a great guy. He's a friend. I'll message him at your Twitter DMs and all, and he's just a cool guy and everything. And Coco's always been cool. And
Coco's great. Yeah.
And I just think the world of him. And
except to Steve Kern.
It ain't that funny. I tell you right now, it's just the damnedest thing. Well, Kern's been great too. Kern and Lane have been tremendous.
He's amazing. Yeah,
it's amazing. Some guys I don't even think know who I am. I don't think I don't realize how much the viral thing has went.
Dude, the boys love you. Like, seriously, I talked to Wolfie D and I said, hey, I've got Dave coming on my show. He's like, I love that guy. Every time I bring you up to one of the boys, they say those words. I love that guy. The boys love you, dude.
Here's the weird thing, okay? Now, I'll go ahead and get a plug out. Coming up, they got a movie called The Unbreakable Bunch that's supposed to be coming out soon. Now, it stars Glacier and Ernest Miller, and I think Zabisco's got a role, and Gangrel and a bunch of other folks got a role in there. Stan Hansen, Big Ron Reese, Big Ron Stud's in there. I met Ron Reese. I try to learn something every day.
Yeah.
And when I met Big Ron Stud, I looked at his head, and his head was about the size of a Dodge Neon that I drove years before. So I learned that Ron Reese is really, 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 really tall. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was at a tribute for Shocker Sean Evans, who was a wrestler who they were fundraising for in Atlanta. And he was talking. He said, I know who you are. You're the Crying Wrestling fan. I said, oh, my God, Big Ron Stud knows who I am.
That's awesome. The Yeti.
And so, I saw the video, and I sent it to Norton in Japan. I'm like, holy hell. Scott Norton has seen, oh, my God, he's one of the toughest guys ever.
Amen. Yeah.
Maybe, big Scott, Flash Scott Norton, big Scott Norton and all. And I'm like, and I don't really realize that it's went to England and all these other places. And I have no gravitas of how big this thing's got. And I've always tried to stay humble. Speaking of Steve Kerr, and I've taken one thing he said in an interview to heart. One time in an interview, he was talking to Lance Russell, or it may have been Dave Brown. He said, well, I've always said it's nice to be important. Jackie Fargo always taught me that it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So that's what I do,
Yeah, that's a smart way to go.
Humble because, some people are thrilled to meet me, and I try to remember names and stuff. It gets hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's really... if I can give them a good experience, that's what I want to do, because I don't really want to get a lot of heat with a lot of folks. But
of course not.
I want to, treat somebody, nice, because it's, you don't want to meet somebody you're looking forward to meet or you're happy to meet and them treat you like a dick. I mean,
there's this Southern saying, you draw more flies with honey, right? Is that true or what? Come on. So,
hey, I've grown up in Ackworth, Georgia. They talk about Cobb County, Georgia, and the big boss man. I've lived in Cobb County every day of my life. Or Ackworth. That's where I've been, 2 places.
Let me ask you this real quick. You've met so many guys, Dave. I mean, and obviously through the clip, it's really made you a part of the wrestling business, maybe in ways that you never expected. But are there any guys that you never met or haven't got to meet yet that are on your bucket list of meeting?
The next one, the next fans. I'm just looking forward. Who would I like to meet? Well, I mean, I'd be lying if I wouldn't say I'd like to meet Triple H. I'd like to meet Vince McMahon.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I'd meet some of these guys. Whoever. I mean, and people say, to talk about, ECW or AEW versus, WWE versus TNA. Dude, I've enjoyed so many people that I've met from so many different places. And a lot of people have been great. The Young Bucks were great to me,
Okay.
I know that Cornette's not a big fan of them, but I've enjoyed meeting them. They were pleasant. If you're pleasant, I enjoy meeting you,
Amen. Yeah.
Some people haven't been pleasant at times, but I may have just caught them on a bad day. And later they were. I try not to drop dimes on them,
Sure, of course, yeah.
But, just to be able to, it's cool because now, I get a chance to, what's fun is, at some shows I can, go in the back and say hi to the talent. And it's a real thrill for me. And, guys, hey, Dave, how you doing? Oh, my God, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And it's just tremendous stuff. I'm so honored that they're happy to meet me and I'm happy to meet them. I'm still humbled by it. It's just amazing that guys that I've watched growing up, like a Wolfie D.
Yeah.
Like so many others say, hey, I know you. Hey, man. Hey, it's great to meet you. You're the guy.
You're the guy. So, speaking of the guy, I mean, what's going on for you? I know you've got merch. I know you've got cameos. You do all this amazing stuff. By the way, folks, whenever I start a podcast, I always go to Dave to get him to give me an intro clip. So that he's done this once again for me, and a whole show has been amazing. So what do you have going on with the merch, the cameos? Talk about your social media presence.
PWTs. I'm on there. You can look me up on there. A Crying Wrestling Fan, original Crying Wrestling Fan. You can search. I got some T-shirts. I got a guy who helped me out and some designs and everything. Buy a T-shirt. They kick me back a couple of bucks if you want to go ahead and want me to send you your own personalized. It's still real to me, Dammit clip. Go ahead, send me some bucks. I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a movie coming out. I got a little cameo in it. It's probably just a little bit with that, but it's with Ray Lloyd, Glacier Ray Lloyd, who I've watched since 86, 87 in Georgia.
Yeah.
Ernest the Cat Miller, Larry Zabisco, just great talented fellows and all. And it's just tremendous. That I'm looking forward to seeing it. I hadn't seen it, so that's coming out. It's called The Unbreakable Bunch. Be looking for that on wherever it comes out at, whether it's in a theater or on your Netflix or on your I don't know what it is.
Streaming service, right? Just wherever it is. Find it and buy it.
Streaming services that you may subscribe to. And if you don't subscribe to, subscribe to one anyways. Every now and then I do a local show. Be looking at your calendar. Hopefully I'll do a local show in Tennessee or some of the surrounding area where I manage Barbarian. Book it, promoter, book it.
Book it now.
But pay me lots of money, but you don't got to pay me that much. The Barbarian's there. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm not begging, but I want to do it. Okay.
Yeah. I love that you're getting that across so well. One thing so just to speak about PWTs, that is the only official place to get anything Still Real to Me, Dammit, with you, right? I know there's tons of bootleg merch out there that's not real.
It's bad when even myself had to go on Amazon and buy me a Still Real to Me, Dammit shirt because they the only ones that had them.
Oh, man.
I got brother to design one, and I qualified as wrestler since I did a match, so I was able to do that. I got some clips out there on YouTube somewhere of me doing some interviews and managing for Peach State Wrestling a few years back when I managed to tag team with the Exotic Ones. We had a great heel run. Fans hated my guts, and I loved every bit of it because I'm an actual heel.
Yeah. I don't buy that almost, but I do. I get it where you're coming from. It's like the nice guys are the heels, right?
it don't matter, Well, I mean, that's what I do, man. I mean, let's face it, okay?
Yeah.
I was always the fat dude, okay? I always wanted to be a little manager guy, and I get a chance to do that,
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
I get a chance to see certain things. Like I said, being able to go in the back and see. So one of the funniest things I saw was Bobby Fulton was wrestling, and Bobby had a stroke a while back.
Yeah.
And he can't really see out of one side, so he was working a big jacked up guy big muscled guy called the Mexicutioner on this little show. Okay. I was there. It was the one at the church, and Cornette was there. And it was fun because Bobby was talking to the guy in the back, and he said, okay, don't do anything on this side of me because I won't be able to see you, and you'll be doing something, but I won't even know you're doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
He said, is there anything you can't do, sir? And the guy said, yeah, hip toss. He goes, wait a minute. You can't take a hip toss? No, I had an artificial hip, and I'm thinking, I wonder what this is going to look like. This is going to... Well, the match starts going, and it's a walk and talk. And now Bobby Fulton, Fantastics, one half of the Fantastics, you think he'd be the face, right?
Right.
So he starts off as a face, and then the fans start cheering for Bobby. Don't cheer for me yet. I'm not ready yet. Hold up. So he's up there, and he goes up there and sticks out his hand to the guy. So, he's up there talking. The guy gives him a couple of bumps, and then he goes, hey, I'm sorry about that. Let me just shake your hand. You're actually a good Mexican. You're not one of these. And he dropped a little something that he probably shouldn't have. You couldn't do it nowadays.
Right.
You're actually not like, there's a popular cleaner and the last word is span. You can figure out what the first word was. At least you're not one. And the guy, what? Well, and he chops him in the chest and all. And then he gets to the ring later. He says, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to work. Cheer for me now. Boo! Hey, why y'all booing me for? And then Bobby Fulton tries to get the fans to come with him. USA, USA. Nobody's coming with him because he's been a jerk the whole match.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexicuster's up there. He's just going, Mexico, Mexico. All these fans, there's about 100 fans in Knoxville chanting Mexico.
That's wild, man.
I'm standing probably about 20 feet from Cornette, and I hear, oh my God, this is the greatest day of my life. Bobby Ford is the best worker ever. He has gotten 100 fans, 100 rednecks in Knoxville to chant Mexico during the match. Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I'm there just thinking, I didn't know what this was going to be, but these guys are magicians. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And it's the artistry of wrestling. You know, when people say, well, that match was a dud or that match wasn't much, you don't know what the guys went through. You don't know if him and his wife are having financial issues. You don't know if he's not having some kind of physical issue. Give the guys a break. They're out there performing for your pleasure. And if it's an indie show, use a little math. If tickets are $20 ringside, $10 general admission, you got a couple of 100 fans. There ain't a hell of a lot of money to go around if you got rent and other stuff. And then, there's some concessions. But then you pay the talent. They've driven all this far, but they're taking bumps in the ring. Hey, give them a little leeway, man. A lot of guys ain't going to take a ton of bumps for, that. They may not be able to anymore, especially if they hit 50, 55, 60,
Amen.
You give them a little bit of a break, If they walk and talk, so be it. It doesn't matter what they do in the ring. Are you entertained? And you know what? Be thankful. The young guys can go ahead and take a bunch of bumps and bounce around like a ping pong ball. That's fine and dandy. That's great. You could have your Abdul the Butchers or whoever is the equivalent now walk around there and brawl all over the ring and do whatever. That's fantastic. You can have, your death match. You can have whatever you got, okay? Then you have a little walk and talk. There's all kinds of stuff. That's the beautiful thing. There's so many different flavors of wrestling. It's like Baskin Robbins. 31 flavors. Tremendous. But again, I went off on a tangent because that's what I do.
I love it.
PWTs, PWTs, got that coming out. Every now and then you'll see me at an indie show in Georgia. I don't go to a bunch of them, but here and there I go to them. I'm at Fan Fest. I plan on being at WrestleCade up in Winston-Salem later this year because that's always a fun Fan Fest.
The best. Yeah. I'll come see you there. Oh,
please do. WrestleCade's tremendous. So I said, Dave, you want to have a booth somewhere? I'm waiting for somebody to call me. I go, there's no market. I'm here every year. Who the hell's going to pay to see me when they got a promo from me last year? Come on now, give me a break. I wouldn't pay to see me. Of course, they're the cheapest creatures in the damn world. God, don't I know? That's another reason why I kind of like it, because sometimes I can just, don't worry about paying. Just come on in, Dave. Yeah, I got one over on somebody. Sweet.
That's beautiful. That's the beauty of it right there. And, so you're very active on Twitter too, man. I follow you. You're a great follow on there. Your passion that we're talking right now and through this whole interview. And plus from all the people that have known you from the clip, your passion comes through on Twitter too. Tell them how to follow you on there as well.
I think I'm at Still Real Dave on Twitter. Every now and then I don't really, here's the thing with Twitter. I kind of, to a certain extent, follow the Dennis Condrey range because I'm thinking, I don't know why anybody anywhere would give a damn what I'm doing or what I'm saying at any particular time. But some people do. Apparently 4,000 people do. So
there you go.
That's nice. But I just say a bit here and there and enjoy it. It's kind of interesting. As we tape, we're going to see the Tuesday Night Wars. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I know. It'll be interesting.
I never heard of a buy-in on a free show, but I don't know what I'm buying, but I guess It's more like the cheap end or the free end is what it is. Go to YouTube, watch, Kingston or Ishii or whoever's working tonight, and then they watch the program commercial free. I will say one thing: they're pulling out plenty of big guns. Both of them are. So that's
I know. It'd be like the Monday Night Wars, man. Tuesday night.
Quite interesting. I have my feeling on what's going to happen, but we'll hold judgment till it happens. But it's going to be quite interesting. I'm interested to see how this all shakes out, But, they're two different styles. Some people are really, what's fun to see is when you read the Twitter machine. Mm-hmm. You see some people say, "Oh, WWE's going to wipe the floor with Tony Khan's wrestling." Other people are saying, "I don't see how AEW can lose."
Right.
And I'm thinking, what this right here is kind of like the old UFC countdown shows. Because the UFC countdown shows, you figure out who the underdog is, who people think are going to lose. And or who you think people are going to win, and you make it seem like that they probably can't. That the underdog is going to beat them. Yeah, they're so confused and can't make up their mind. Oh God, I got to buy this to see what really happened.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And that really, if you trace it back, that's very similar to the way St. Louis wrestling was.
Right.
Where you have two guys who get up there, and Memphis to a certain extent. You book a match, you have two guys talk about a match, you set up the match, and then who's going to win the match? Well, we got to have the match. Well, it's not going to be on TV. We got to go down to the Mid-South Coliseum and to the Nashville Fairgrounds or to, somewhere in Blytheville, Arkansas or the Louisville Gardens and watch it happen.
Amen. Exactly.
This.
Yeah.
You pop them into the building, it's tremendous stuff,
It is. It's like you said, it was magical,
Here's the thing. The way I look at it, wrestling is a hybrid form of entertainment. Wrestling is a form of entertainment that can make you stand up, that can make you sit down, that can make you boo, that can make you cheer, that can make you cry, that can make you scream, that can make you happy, that can piss you off. Wrestling is a hybrid form of entertainment where you see anything from superheroes to strong muscle men to acrobats to clowns to comedy to all kinds of stuff. Wrestling is it's a hybrid entertainment where don't get me wrong, when wrestling's bad, it ain't a hell of a lot worse in the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Of course, that's up to your definition of what's bad.
Right.
When wrestling's great, it ain't a hell of a lot better, you ask me.
Not much in the world.
My brother.
Man, I think that's the way we got to end this. Honestly, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. And, thank you so much for saying what needed to be said, brother.
Well, it's kind of funny. It seems that I've been able to do that. But again, hey, follow me on Twitter. I'm on Facebook too at Dave Wills. I'm somewhere over there. I don't know.
You followed the group, by the way, so thank you. You joined our group. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. If give me back my pro wrestling, I hope somebody gives it back to me. You give me plenty of good stuff.
Yes, sir.
So how can they make wrestling something you're really going to get? Find Lance Russell 2.0 right now. That'll make me real happy.
Amen. Heck, find another Bob Caudle and I'll be even happier. I love Lance and Bob, so.
Yeah, hold it. Let's chase a rabbit. Is it just me? Or, okay, you can talk about Michael Cole, but sometimes he, can scream at you and, get a little obnoxious.
Right.
You can talk about Excalibur. Sometimes he's on every show. Sometimes I get a little tired of Excalibur. But is it just me, or could you sit and listen to Dave Brown, Lance Russell, or Bob Caudle just sit and talk about anything, read anything, read,
the phone book,
read a phone book or read whatever for about 2 or 3 hours, just and be totally
calm and
totally happy, totally pleased.
Yeah.
And just say, man, it's great to be a wrestling fan. That's just me. I can listen to those jokers all day. It's just tremendous stuff. And I love Michael St. John.
Sure. He's great too. Friend of the Wolfie D show for sure.
Oh, Michael St. John's tremendous. I love him. I've been to his radio station. I thought it was so tremendous. If you're listening, love you, Mike. Oh, man. Tremendous character,
Thank you, Dave. You're the best, brother. Really means a lot.
Thank you for having me. And remember, as always, stories from across the street with Jimmy Street. It's still real to me, damn it.
You represent us all, brother. Thank you so much. Take care, okay?
You're much too kind.
Stories!
Oh, man. What did I tell y'all? Really, seriously. What a cool story from that guy, It does feel weird not having the Plastic Sheik here with me, but he's okay with me stepping out on this venture. Obviously, nothing's going to change with the main podcast, with the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. I promise that. But this is just something I want to do whenever a cool story becomes available. I've spoken to several of our wrestling buddies, Ben Jordan, Shane Morton, Rick Reynolds, Kroll, Jeff Daniels. And I said, hey guys, if y'all have cool stories, 30 minutes or more, got to give me that. But I need a good story, and we'll tell it on this show. But the cool thing is like I said earlier, I'm going to open this up to other walks of life. I am a musician, so I'm going to open it up to my musician buddies. And whoever, if you've got a cool story to tell, I want to tell it on this show. And, obviously, as always, you've heard the song to this show, which I do have a theme song for all my shows, and this one was written, of course, by my homie, my longtime friend Tracy Bird, TB Monstrosity from the band Blitz Kid, and also A Gathering of None and numerous other bands, too many to mention, but he's my main go-to guy whenever I need music or theme songs or segment intros for all my podcasts. And so you've heard him many times, and of course he delivered. It's crazy. I said, hey, I want something soulful and bluesy and very low-key for this Stories from Across the Street, because that's the vibe I want to portray on this show. A little more conversational, a little less interview. You guys get it. But like I said, thanks Tracy for the theme song. Thank you Jut Plastic Sheik for always being my homie. Thank you Wolfie D for the live and in color. Just thank all my podcasting people. Thank you, my listeners. Thank you all so much for all the support you've given us. If you've missed it, go back and check out the excellent Scott Spade episode. Up next, we've got Derek Neal. Very cool things planned for the future. Can't wait for y'all to hear it. But next, if you've got a story, I've spoken with Hot Rod Biggs. He may be my next guest on Stories from Across the Street. This is not going to be what I would consider a super regular thing. But like I said, when stories become available that take up a little bit of time, we're going to tell them on this show. And hope y'all support it like you have all my other podcasts. It truly means the world that you guys listen. So with that being said, once again, I want to thank you so much. Still real to me, Dammit, Dave Wills. Just what a great guy that guy is. Just so knowledgeable and so passionate about the wrestling business, just like we all are. And honestly, I can't thank him enough for telling his story on this one. Thought it would be a great one to start this series off. Thank y'all again. For Dave Wills, I'm Jimmy Street. This has been Stories from Across the Street. See y'all next time.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you later.
This has been a James Rock Street production.